Very good evening and good morning to everybody. I'm going to talk about my experience with the board games. Games are so much of value in our life. See, after the basic needs, that is food, shelter, and food, clothing, and shelter, we I will give importance to games because these games make us very healthy. A healthy mind and a healthy body is important in life. That is possible because of the games only. So we find that it is a very important thing that we should have an idea about the indoor games and outdoor games and how they are able to, materialize with things which they wanted to. So from childhood, we will be playing. And in those days, we find always we will be hearing lot of things from our elders. At the same time, before I go to my topic, I would like to say about the storytelling things. Storytelling is a part of our life, I should say. Even when I was a child, I was listening. When I was a woman, I was telling. And now we are sharing. So in that way, storytelling is part of our life, I feel. Though I have been, storytelling and listening and all, how I chose this topic is very important because games are very important in our life. It only makes you healthy. So, in that way, I have been playing indoor games and outdoor games from my childhood. But what made me to go for some research on this? Though I'm a professor of history in Madras University for more than 28 years, what that experience had not given, my games research had given to me. In that way, I feel that I should do some justice to these games. In that way, we find I was, it was so accidental that I came to know about a conference to be held in international level about the games. My friend from Pondicherry University, Dr. Bhatta, he asked me whether I'm interested in presenting a paper on this. I said, sure, I will do. But the board games means always people will say chess, chess, chess. But I would like to do something on our own indigenous game. You all know Dayakatam, Adupuliyatam, Palanguri, all these things. These are all. There are hundreds of games in Tamil Nadu. But here, when I was telling, I will talk only about our indigenous games. I am interested in that. He said, okay, madam, you can choose whatever you like. And this is how I entered into the research oriented aspect of games. Otherwise, games means games. You play. Like say, ஓடி விளையாடு பாப்பா நீ ஓய்ந்திருக்கலாகாது பாப்பா கூடி விளையாடு பாப்பா ஒரு குழந்தையை வெறியாதே பாப்பா. This is the sayings of our great Bharatiyar. He says, ஓடி விளையாடு, run and play, play, play. கூடி விளையாடு, that is, you must be always with your friends. We play with them. So in that way, he was teaching not only games, we are not only playing games, but we are even taught about the well-being. What you should do. You should not be all the time fighting with the people. You should not be, hurting a people. So what you have to do is do something to make you happy and healthy. That is possible with the games. So this is how I entered into this. And we find that it happened first, my conference in Pondicherry. My awakening had taken place in Pune University only when I met Bhatta there. Secondly, it was taken me to Pondicherry, where I wrote about Saturanga. Chaturanga, you all will know. It is about the beginning of chess, you can say. And we are very proud to say that India is the home of chess. Some people may refuse to know or accept, but we are very sure it is our game. And we only gave to other countries this chess. So even our Grand Master is Anand is from Tamil Nadu. So we are very happy about it. And so this is how the one step after the other happened in my life regarding board games. The second one, when a German player and the game coins collector, Manfred Eder came to Pondicherry. He was very much appreciative of my paper about Chaturanga and other games. And we find the British Museum curator, Mr. Dr. Finkel. He was so much interested in that, and he said, after I finished, he came and embraced me and told me that, Bala, shall I include your paper in my book? I said, pleasure. It is my pleasure. Have it. So that was the second step I had. And Manfred Eder, a German who is collecting a lot of, a room is allotted. When we went to Germany, I went to his house. There he showed lot of chess cards and other things, chess boards there. With the one room full of these things. So it was a great thing. I saw it there in that. So afterwards, we find there in Germany, he conducted one conference. He invited me. You know what happened? There in the university and all, sometimes people are really mean. Once, I don't know who it is. The invitation sent to me by Manfred Reader was taken and put it in the waste paper basket in the library. And he was asking me again by letter. In those days, there was no such things and all. 1976 and all, I am telling. So what happened? He asked, why Bala, you didn't reply? By the time one person from the library came who knows me very well, Madam, there was one letter of you which is there in the basket. So I brought, that was the invitation of Manfred Eder. So there I presented the paper in that German conference, that is Paramapadam, Snake and Ladder. I think you all would have heard about it, Snake and Ladder game. It's a very, very interesting game, especially for children, because the snakes and ladders are there and we should escape from snakes and we should be climbing up the ladder. So what is special about this? We play there during Sivaratri and Vaikunta Ekadasi to wake up the whole night to reach the, Paramapadam. That is the golden feet of Vishnu or Shiva, like that. So what happened? There, when I was taking these sources and all, when it was shown there on the picture, there was a standing ovation. Not only that, the matter I gave was so much attractive for them. Because you all would have seen that snake and ladder board. What happens there? You see only snake and ladder in a board where it is only black and white squares. Have you seen anything else there in other countries? No. This is the board. But in India, if you ask for one, it is totally different. You will see every square is filled with some picture, good or bad. Something denoting the good things, something denoting the bad things. So what happened? Why? There is good thing and bad thing in life you have to face. But not that only. If you are throwing the piece and your coins are moved, if you are coming to the top or head of the snake, you come down to the tail. Is it not? Have you played? No? That's the thing. So, if you are going there at the bottom of the ladder, you are climbing up at the end of the ladder. So, this is how you are doing. What is the implication? Understand? Snake says, if you are doing something wrong, you have to come down, restart your life. And if you are good, you are climbing up. It is not difficult at all. So, we find that in every square, there is wherever ladder is there, there will be something very nice things, a temple, a cow, a rishi, a good man, like that, positive things will be given. But if it is bad things, if it is the snake, then it will be a rakshasa, a monkey, a bear, or something like that, which denoting something bad. So this is the thing, the theory of karma and rebirth. Understand? Indian culture is based on these two aspects. So this is not given there in other countries, Ludo or these games. Whereas in Paramapadam or Snake and Ladder, it is given. So this gave me an encouragement to go more and more. Next one, I was invited for the conference there at Switzerland. There I was writing about the Palangudi, that is the Mankala game, which is there with the pit. And we find that. So there I was writing about women's game. It is a women's game. But when there are so many West Indies people and Europeans came to participate in the conference, I understood that it is not so. Because there in West Indies, Africa and other places, the basic games are only this Mankala games. Different names are given, different methods are given, different boards are there, but it is our Pallanguri like. So that way our Pallanguri is different from that of West Indies and of, we can say, Kazakhstan and so on. So in that way we are very much interested in knowing that. And as in India, only ladies were playing Pallanguri, I said it is a game of women. But when after my experience there at Switzerland, I totally changed my idea and I told and I went and got so much of source material because those source materials are very, very important in that. Not only in the museum, you can see in the museum a lot of things, and at the same time, the elders at home, they teach us these important things. Nowadays, if I ask the second generation and all, first generation, when I went to Toronto and other places, they do not know anything about these traditional games. They don't know. They know only computer games. They play that only. So now there is an awakening and interest shown by the youngsters and the elders also. When elders come here and then when they are going back to foreign countries, they buy the Pallanguri and Dayakatam and other things to be played by their grandchildren. So that's a very interesting thing. So you find that. So there are a lot of source materials also. When in my research, I found that a lot of source materials are also available. There you find in literary sources and archaeological sources are also there. So in that way, utilizing that, I wrote some papers in this thing. And we find that in a temple in Ellora, there is Shiva Parvati playing the game. It is so very beautifully given. There are a lot of books we can verify also. There you find that even in Egypt, we find that the pharaohs, when they were burying whatever they were wanting to be buried, we find that such things were also, Pallangudi was also there, it is stated. So there was an ivory dice found there in Nagarjuna excavations also. Similarly, in Indus Valley civilization, when they were excavating, there were so much of dice also there. Apart from Pondicherry, Germany, and Switzerland, I was again called for Switzerland for another conference, and on that, the curator of the museum, one of the biggest museums, games museum, not the ordinary museums, you can see only game boards and games and other details only. So in that way, we find that they were having for the guides. They asked me, the curator asked me to guide how to show and tell about the board games. So in that way, it is a very important thing. Next one will be in Spain, Barcelona, a beautiful country. We can say lovely girls are also there, you can see. So we find that there was a conference there on board games. I presented a paper also there. What is more important in that is, it's not that the person who are invited to inaugurate the conference was not very rich people or very, I mean, highly officially wanted people. It's not so. You know what had happened? Then they invited a minister who was very much interested in that. But what happened was, he walked over to this place. He never came with so much of pomp and splendor with a big group behind him as we have in our country. Then he came as a very simple man interested in the games, and he, delivered the lecture, and then he saw the games, and then he went. So that's one part which attracted me so much, I should say. So next one. Next one will be there in Austria. Another one in Germany, Marble. And then again in Spain. Again in Portugal. Again in Vienna. So in all these things, I presented research papers. Because of the sources I collected, I was able to do. More than that, what we heard from the local people. The local people, even when they were playing, working there in the agricultural fields, they come for lunch, they eat, and they wanted to play something. So what they do not go for a board or the coins sold in the shops. What happened? They were taking it, and on the floor, they write with a stick. They draw the picture of the Ludo game, or Palanguri or Adupuliyatam, whatever it is, they do, and they play. And when the master calls them for work, they just leave it and go. But nowadays, every play is there shown in the shops now. They can buy in any. You can see there in the museum at Delhi and Hyderabad, a lot of things about it with the precious stones, silver, gold, and so on and so forth. So it is a thing. Another interesting matter I would like to say, Akbar, the Mughal king, Mughal emperor, he was a very nice person, interested in Indian culture also, because his mother was an Indian, Jodhbai. He was his wife was Jahangir's mother. She was a Hindu. So, but at the same time, what happened? He was interested in these games. There, what he did in his palace, where there in the frontage, he drew a big, Ludo board. Ludo board on the, entrance of the palace. And there, instead of the coins, he was having the slave girls as the game pieces. And when the throwing pieces were thrown. The girls were moved according to this. This is not we. I used to think I like Akbar very much, but why Akbar should treat these girls like this? I was used to wonder. But anyhow, a lot is a lot, In that way, it happened like that. So we find all these things. But what is interesting is when I went to Italy, when I went to, Spain, Switzerland, and other, the importance of these places. Because of the time, very little, I could not go in detail about it. So, in all these places, when I was there for 3 or 4 days, apart from that playing the game, I was doing some sightseeing also in these places. That's also wonderful. Francis of Assisi there in Portugal, Lisbon, where I went. I I uh, I trust him. I like him so much, so I went to the church. So like that, the temples and churches and other things also we visited museum. So connected some more matter also there in this. And what are some practices were also there. In Africa, we find in many of the African countries, it is the national game. Palanguri is the national game of many African countries and West Indies also. There in the African countries, during morning, they have to play this Mankala game. Mankala game. Because then only the spirit of the dead person will be satisfied, they say. In India also, when the girls are married, the parents used to give the mankala and the coins as one of the presents given to the girl. And not only that, during the marriage also, they make the boy and the girl, bride and the bridegroom, play this game also. So in the wedding, and as I told you earlier, Sivratri and Vaikunta Ekadasi also, they play these things. And in the Uganda king, please remember, when he was to be, coronated, he used to play this palanguri or mankala with his wife's mother and sister. So this is a very interesting thing. No palanguri to be played at night. That's a very important thing. So we find that there are so many other things also which are followed there. And there are a lot of workshops done by me there in many schools and colleges also. And we find that in Toronto also, when I went to see my son, the was in the for the Indian girls, I taught them the games and conducted the competitions also for them. So there was a state government in Andhra Pradesh was organizing importance of the heritage things. So then I also spoke about the traditional games also. So in Mylapore, it's a very more, just 2 minutes I'll take. I think time is there. Okay. In Mylapore, you know very well, I think Eric knows very well, how the Mylapore festival is done every year in a very great thing. For the past 10 years, I have been doing this sort of thing, conducting competitions in Ludo game as well as Palanguri for children from 6-year-old to 70 years old, not only women, men also. So in that point, we find there in Pondicherry also, they invited me to conduct a competition. And then there was not only that, the Kichi Kichi Tambalam, there was a game like that. There is a non-board game that was also, I was invited. So in Sangamam and in Rotary clubs and in Probus clubs and all, I have been conducting these things. So a lot of importance to be given to these board games. It is important to revive these games very much. Now it is getting that stage only. The revival of these games are taking place, I should say. Otherwise, there won't be an awakening for this playing of these games at all. So now they want every parent who is returning to foreign countries are going with Palanguri board only from Giri traders in Mylapore. So in that way, computer games are there for the children, but that they play only that person plays. Whereas these games is a group game. So a lot more. It gives leadership, it gives friendship, it gives the give and take, understanding, and so many other things are also there. So I'm very happy to say something. And my research have contributed to this. My book published in Chennai on the folk games of Tamil Nadu. This is what I have done in this. And latest, the central government magazine, Thittam, has published my article of 17 pages on this Tamilaka Parambarya Vilayattukal. That is the traditional games of Tamils. It is also there. And I was there called for the it is foreign where Kazakhstan, Saudi Arabia, and other places we have been doing, and in this I've been invited and playing. So
okay, Bala, thank you
more
so
to be
much.
done. And sorry for
I
taking
want to
some
thank
more time. Time is there. And
thank you very, very
thank
much.
you very much. Lot more. It's a
And,
very broad topic and deeper one.
yes,
Sorry.
that's
Thank you.
fine. That's wonderful. You really brought out the value and importance of these games, and it's so wonderful that you've traveled around the world and told people about our local games here. Jayanti, you want to translate to Tamil?
Yes. See, what Eric says is, உலகம் ஃபுல்லா சுத்திட்டு இவ்ளோ அழகா எல்லா the games பண்ணியிருக்கிறதுக்கு ரொம்ப நல்லது அப்படிங்கிறாங்க. We appreciate you அப்படிங்கிறாங்க.
Thank you so much. But I have learned a lot out of this, Eric. That's the important thing. No, I never thought.
Go ahead. I never thought.
Yeah, சொல்லுங்க.
சொல்லுங்க.
I never thought I will go to this level. What I have been teaching for 26 years there in the history department of the Madras University. But it has not brought me so much of fame. Whereas these board games which I played and then participated have taken me there. I am there in the international level committees. I am there and
Yes, well,
so,
games are studied, especially in the academic discipline I was trained in folklore, which is a section in cultural anthropology. There is a field called the anthropology of play, and different types of play, including games, are studied all over the world in different cultures and time periods. So you have made a wonderful contribution from the Tamil side. Rachel, go ahead.
thank you.
Many years ago, I taught remedial math, and I had the game Mankala, and it was for strategy. And until you discussed it, I had no idea that, first of all, that it was considered a woman's game and how it was, so I thought it came from China. I didn't know it was used in Africa. So this was very enlightening. A couple other comments. In Judaism, there is a holiday called Hanukkah, and we play with a little spinning top, a dreidel. And the significance of the dreidel is that the Israelites were planning their rebellion against the Greco-Syrian Romans, and they didn't want to be caught. So they seemed to be playing this innocent spinning game. And that was as a decoy so that they could plan their rebellion. And lastly, I met a refugee in the 1980s from Pol Pot. and he was pushing a stroller with a child, and we started talking. And I had a lot of toys that my children had outgrown. And I gave them to him, and he told me that in his culture, they had never played. They had never used the toys. And so not only was it wonderful for his children to explore toys and games, but he himself as an adult was discovering what it meant to play.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Rachel, and thank you very much, Bala. And now we will proceed to the next storyteller.